Are you planning on racing Challenge Salou this year? Well, if so, this is the video for you because in it, myself, Steven Moody, a YouTuber, will be talking to an experienced coach who knows the course and will talk through what you need for the swim, the bike, and the run. So, a little bit of a bit of background. As I said, my name is Steven Moody or Coach Steve. I am an Ironman U certified coach and more recently a YouTuber who does these race review videos of half distance, full distance races from around the world. As because myself as an athlete, when I was looking to find out information on a course in North America, I couldn't find the info. So I decided to start making videos of races I have done. So I covered Lanzarote, I covered Austria, I covered Texas, and then I ran out. So I decided it'd be great if I can get lots more courses recorded by interviewing local experts who know the course, and I can ask all the questions that athletes want to know because I'm an athlete as well as you guys. And in that, I've managed to reach out and connect with a lot of cool coaches from around the world, and race organizers and race announcers, and tap into their expertise and ask them all the questions. And in that, today I am delighted to be interviewing a friend of the channel, Coach Javier, who is from Murcia in Spain and knows an awful lot about Challenge Salou. Javier, how are you doing? And could you tell us a little bit about your coaching and this race experience?
Hi, Steve. It's a pleasure to be with you again. And we are going to go really deep into the challenge allow to make the audience to be aware of the tiny details of the race.
Fantastic. And have you raced this course or have you had athletes on this course that you know?
Yeah, I have athletes. I haven't raced it, but I have some athletes that have raced it there. It's pretty popular in my area to go there to race it.
Okay. And as a coach, we probably know the course more intimately when we actually have to prepare it for our athletes because athletes ask all the questions. We have to do all the research. So you will have all the knowledge in your head. It's for me to get it out of you. Okay, cool. So we'll hop into or we'll dive into the swim course. Um, so talk us a little bit about the swim course. It looks like it's a simple triangle shape and all the rest. How will athletes start their day? Is it on a beach or is it on a ramp or how do they start the swim?
Uh, about the swimming, you have to be aware that you never know until race day because in the last year, Challenge Salou has had a really bad luck when it's come to the weather. In the last 3, 4 years, at least 2 times, it had been cancelled.
Wow.
Yeah, to one year it was, I think, 2021 due to wind, and in 2022 about cold conditions. So they have to cancel the swimming and change to a duathlon mode. And last year it was they were able to do it, but instead of 1,900, it was 1,000 meters more because of the current.
Okay.
So it can be a bit tricky. It's an Australian exit. It's on the sun. You have to do 2 laps and you have to touch sun and then come back. But until race days, you are not sure what the condition is because they have even changed the dates. It has been done on May, then on October, and now again on June, and it's going to be pretty much the same. It's tricky to that area in particular.
Yeah, okay. But again, that it's always key for half distance racing to just to be ready to adapt. Because as you said, weather might change the situation and it goes to a duathlon or they shorten the swim and it's all about safety. But assuming that we get the swim and fingers crossed for our athletes, what is the water quality like? Is it not a clear water? Can people expect to find jellyfish or fish, or what would people expect to find in the water?
It's more clear. It's on the clear side, let's say. but and I haven't heard any report about jellyfish or the likes.
Cool. And trust me, if there was jellyfish, our athletes always tell us, and it's all on social media. It's the big thing. Okay, and typically then it would tend to be when the swim goes ahead. Does it tend to be a wetsuit legal swim?
Yeah, definitely. Even they have changed the date I have told you about from May to October, June, or whatever. Always has been with wetsuit legal. So I assume that it will be this year again.
Okay, cool. And do challenge races? I normally do the Ironman reviews. And do challenge races, do they do a rolling swim start or how do they start? Is it a mass swim start or how does that work?
Uh, this race, they have a pro start, and then I think they have two mass start for the age groups.
Actually, okay, cool. Yeah, because I checked there. There's actually they break it in and we'll go into the course event schedule at the end. Yeah, they have it broken down by male under 40, male 40 to 45, and then male over 50. And then there's a fourth wave that goes in last, which is all the females. So, okay, so there'll be big enough waves of around 500, 600 people that will go in. Okay, cool. And coming out of the water, as I said, is that this is the heading to transition. Is there a long run from transition or is it short? And what's it on?
No,
Sand?
it's really short. It's 300 meters.
Excellent. Okay, cool. All right, we'll move on to transition short now, but any last minute tips for someone swimming in this course? Anything that you would like to shout out that will help athletes?
For sure, you have to be really aware of the current. So if you can practice the day before or even that morning, because it can be a bit changing from one week to the other, and make sure that you don't swim extra miles.
Yeah. And there is, I saw on the event schedule, there is a practice swim the day before. So that's a top tip from Javier. Make sure you take advantage of that to get used to the water, the currents, etc. Cool. All right. So in terms of your swim start, you will have 1 hour and 10 minutes to get it done. So it's a simple, as you said, round, and it's Australian exit, which means we go from being Australian exit means you exit onto ground, dry land, and then enter the water again. So that means you're swimming, bounce up, run. So tip from myself is make sure you take that easy because a lot of guys will jump up and all the blood will go from their head down to their feet and they'll get dizzy. Slowly get up, allow the blood to equalize, and then jog around and into the water. Okay, cool. Right. So oops, no, beforehand. Transition, actually, we'll just talk a little bit about transition. Is it a single transition or is there T1 and T2 in separate places or in the same place?
It's a single transition.
Okay. And is it a long run in transition to pick up your and challenge use the same bag system as Ironman, don't they?
Yeah, you have to, when you enter transition, first thing you have to go is to the tent where there are all the bags are rackets, change your clothing, left the bags, and then pick your bike. And it's a line with the bike, so it's pretty easy. It's just
Fantastic.
pick your bike, run, and exit.
Great. And again, there's a video in the comments below about how to pack your what will be a swim to bike bag, and then there'll be a bike to run bag. But when you're coming out of the water, you will go through the changing tent and you put your wetsuit into that bike, your swim to bike bag, and you'll take out your cycle helmet. Make sure you fasten that before you touch your bike. Onto around to the racks, get your bike, get out, and what you call it, over the mount line. There is a line where you have to pass with your bike before you can get on the bike. And in terms of just this all might sound a little bit overwhelming for someone who might be new to kind of a triathlon, but what I would recommend is the day before when you have to check in your bike and you'll have a numbered rack where you put your bike and you have to put your bag, which will be also numbered. Um, in the same place. Make sure you walk what your transition. So make sure you look at where the swim start is, and as Coach Javier said, take advantage of actually doing this a bit of a practice swim, but then also walk the transition. Where will you be coming from? You'll be coming up here, you'll be going into transition. Find out what a landmark beside your bike is, as in, is it right beside that tree, that bench, that portaloo, etc. So you know where you're running to, and just walk it as if you will do it. So you're familiar with your transition flow or your ins and outs, and then check it from the other side when you come back in to T2, when you be transitioning from bike to run, and then make sure you're just familiar because transition will go very fast and you can lose a lot of time if you don't know where you're going. Javier, what's your top advice to someone for transition to have a good transition one?
Uh, it's to practice to before even the race that morning to visualize what is going to happen, and on the last part of the swim leg, start to thinking about how the process will be, how you have to walk through the water until you arrive to dry land, and uh, visualize how you're going to take off your wetsuit, where your bike is rugged, all the process. And I really agree with the advice you told that we have discussed sometimes. That is, if you can record on a video of the transition area and take a look this night and the morning before, it will a really good tip to make sure you remember where your bike is, where all the process is going to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was one of the tips we had in a previous video where myself and Javier know when we're racing, we don't sleep well the night before. You're nervous. So you might as well write these down or take pictures or a little video. And then you sort of, and it's a really good point by Coach Javier that, you visualize and just, okay, I'm last couple of 50 meters from the swim. I'll kick a little bit more, get the blood circulating. I know I have to run up. I head into that. I take the third rack on the left. My bike is three bikes down. Then I get a helmet on, etc. Start visualizing it in your head because when there's a lot of adrenaline and your race day nerves kick in, people do silly things. They run past their bike. They try to pitch up their bike before you put your helmet on, which will get you a time penalty. If you start thinking about it very calmly, methodically, you won't make those mistakes and you'll have a faster transition. Cool. Great tips. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying the video. If so, do subscribe to the channel because I do other great videos with and I've reviewed 70.3 Marbella with Coach Javier already, which is super video. I have other content in the comments below about transition bags, about nutrition, etc. So please do. But also, if you want to check out an absolutely super guy as a coach in Spain, or if you're racing in Europe, make sure you check out Javier's Instagram. There's the details there, and will be in the comments below. As you can see already, he knows his stuff. He's a really good guy. He knows he knows these courses. He's got a lot of athletes racing, and if you're lucky, he might take you into his squad. And of course, give us a thumbs up. Okay, onto the bike course. It looks like it's a three loop course. It looks hilly. What will athletes expect to find on this course? Is it an easy bike?
It's rolling. It's it has it's hills, but if you are mid to high level, you can do it on the big green.
Okay. And what's the road surface like? Is it smooth or is it bumpy or what should athletes expect?
Overall, is pretty smooth. It's a motorway. It's part of the race is a four lanes motorway that I will explain you in the details later on. But it's a bit tricky or a bit deceiving. You expect the course to be different than it actually is, but it's a good road.
Okay, excellent. And it's a motorway, good road surface. So again, the question that people ask a lot, if you have a road bike or a TT bike, what would you recommend what bike athletes use?
If you are comfortable with the TT bike, definitely a TT bike.
Fantastic. And these hills, and they, as you said, rolling, they always look a lot more dramatic on these on the little graph here. Is there anything here in the hills that people should be aware of? As in, are these big hills or, as you said, just rollers?
It's just rolling, but sometimes about when they make the map, the ratio about height and length can be modified and it's look more hilly than it actually is. I think
Okay,
it's
so
the likes are 400, 500 meters elevation overall.
fantastic. Okay, great. And mm, is there any big technical turns in here? It looks like we go off on a couple of there's a couple of turnarounds on this course, dead turns. Is there anything athletes should be aware of, as in like big sharp turns, or any sort of at the end of a descent, anything that they should be aware of, any hazards?
Even that branch that is at almost at the end is not a bad road, but it's tricky because it seems that the loops are three exactly loops out to the same course, but every loop has like two loops inside because it's like you start and go almost till the far end. You take that the last branch in Porta del Mar, then come back and arrive to the finish until the finish, and then you came back to the to transition area, then resume the loop, but half point you came back.
Ah, yes,
It's
yes,
not
yes.
yeah.
Okay, so
You are in the second part of the every loop. You don't arrive to the branch that is in Porta del Mar.
okay. So you only do this Porta del Mar branch
In the
once.
first part of every loop, but
Okay.
not two times per loop, let's say.
Ah, got it. Cool. Okay.
It's a four lines road, and you take one to arrive till the end, then the second one back, then the third, let's say, till half point, and then the four back.
Fantastic. Excellent. Okay, cool. So it could be a not a very fast course, but it's not as challenging as this map might look. Um, is there anything else that we should give the our athletes? Anything else that athletes should be aware of, or any other hints that you give for this bike course?
Uh, Maybe the side of the road is a bit dirt, so it's advisable to go as much as possible in the middle of the road.
And are the roads closed to traffic, or are they open?
Yes, in that triathlon in most of the triathlon in Spain is closed traffic.
Fantastic. So you do have the option to maximize where you go in the middle of the road. Okay. And again,
Yeah, yeah,
that, that's a
definitely.
great tip. As I said, if there's stuff, there can be litter or was it rough stones in the side, just go into the middle. Always look for the smooth or suave part of the road. Perfect. Okay, cool. All right. So when you have the bike course, you have with your swim time, your T1 time, and your bike time, you've got 5 hours and 15 minutes to get it done. We'll just talk a little bit about aid stations. Aid stations at half distance races are very important, as in this is where you can pick up hydration, this is where you can pick up fuel, but they're also a lot of moving parts. So I call aid stations high risk and high reward, as in more reward, as in you need this because you can't. A lot of people do not want to carry all their water or their fuel with them, even for a half distance. So it's good if you can use an aid station to get on board additional bottles, especially if it gets hot, additional fuel. Um, but there will be lots of moving parts because cyclists are moving into the aid station. There'll be volunteers holding out bottles. There'll be people. This is in the aid stations where you can actually throw empty bottles. So lots of moving parts. But typically, this is how an aid station works. There'll be a trash, there'll be a water bottle, isotonic drink, gels, energy bars, food. Food to us triathletes is always a banana, isotonic water, trash, and then toilets. But there's lots to it, and it's something you should practice. And in this video, in the comments below, I talk about do's and don'ts for aid stations in terms of slow down, communicate, talk to your athletes around you, and then also communicate when you're moving out of the aid station, keep things smooth. So make sure you watch that video. It'll help you because you do need to take advantage of aid stations on course. Um, we'll assume you've got through that, and now we're on to, well, actually, transition two. Um, transition two, it's the same place, so we will be coming back from the bike. What can people expect from transition two? Is it a long run into the bike line, or is it anything else that people should know of? Have you?
It's pretty straight away like the T1 is just a lane where you have to ride your bike, arrive to the same tent, change your clothing, and start the running leg.
Fantastic. What's your top tip to athletes for a quick transition to? What do you tell your athletes?
Again, in the last part of the bike leg, start to thinking about the process of unclipping, this is mounting. Try to remember where your bike has to be racked, and don't forget to pass through the tent because it's not that you have been before, but in the swimming exit, it has uh, happened that some athletes miss the tent, run through the bike rack, and has to come back. So
Okay.
don't miss time with that.
That's just that they're very enthusiastic. But again, if they listen to our tips from previous, make sure you've walked that. This is your bike dismount line when you have to stop your bike entirely before you get off the bike, where you'll be running with that bike to the rack. You rack your bike, and then that's only when you can take your helmet off. And then, as you said, then run to the changing tent, get your run bag, helmet goes in, runners go on, and then out to the run exit. Um, and one of the things I tell my guys, as I said, nothing good happens in T2. Do not slow down. T1 can be a little bit slower because you're trying to get on a bit of cycling kit, your helmet, etc. And you don't want to drop nutrition at the start of a race. When you're on the run, there's loads of aid stations on the run, and once you have your runners on, you can do everything else moving. You can put your sun visor on, you can put your sunglasses on, you can take a gel. Once your runner's on, you start running, and again, otherwise your muscles will get cold if you sit down and you start thinking about a half marathon ahead of you. Um, so I'm with
Just a, t-
Javier
just
on that.
a tip, just a tip for the one that has raced it before that race. They can get a bit lost on the bike leg because it's used to have 80 kilometers, and they have promised that this year will be 90 Ks. So if they are used to make the last push with 5 Ks to go, maybe they have 15 Ks to arrive to transition two.
Okay, no, absolutely great tip. As in, make sure you prepare for a 90K bike, which is the way it's going to be, um, and know where your exits are, etc. Okay, cool. The run course. Now, again, as I said, it's not often I will give Ironman props over Challenge. I've done Challenge Roth, and I've always found that Challenge were a lot more athlete friendly. But I must admit, Ironman is better at giving me maps to work with because I've done a couple of these reviews. In Javier, I said we've done Marbella, and it's very easy to find a run map and a bike map. But I was trying to pull info from Strava, etc. But as I said, but Challenge do a lot of other nice things that they're better than. Like you're allowed to get fuel from your friends on the run, which again, if you do that on the on an Ironman course, you get disqualified. Another thing that Challenge typically allow is they will allow people to actually go up the finish line with their family if it's not crowded. Again, another automatic DQ from Iron Man. And okay, I better not start. I better not give out too much about Iron Man. They might take down my videos. Okay, so the run course. What is the surface like? Are people running on concrete, tarmac? Is it sand? What can people expect on this 4 by 5K loop?
It's the typical promenade on the beach that is tilt.
Great. And it looks pancake flat. There's any elevation in this that people should be worried about?
Yeah, it's pancake cake flat. It's nothing really, not even a hill. It's pretty easy and smooth. So it's if you have something in the tank, you can make the most of it.
Yeah. And it's a for a 5K loop is nice because again you can break it down in your head as in like, okay, first 5K I find my legs, second and third you kind of try to hit race pace, and it you know yourself, Javier, in the last 5K it's whatever you can pull out, as in like because you're lying to your body going, this is the last time I'll do this. I promise we retire after this race just to make sure legs go faster. Um, any tips you have for people on the run course in terms of aid station management, heat management? What would you advise your athletes if it's a hot day?
To keep more than about hydration, cooling effect. It's like every time they cross uh, an aid station, don't have to drink because you maybe end being bloated in water, but cooling, pouring down your head, and it's going to be a really good aid for keeping your body temperature low.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that, Coach Javier. As in, like I say, tell my guys, never miss an aid station. At this stage, you will have been out for 4, 5, 6 hours, and your body will be low. So hopefully you've fueled well on the bike. But once we get past an aid station, take a bit of Coke, a bit of fuel. But you're also right. Even if you're feeling hot, throwing a load of water or isotonic into your stomach will not get you as cool as just pouring a bottle of water down the back of your neck and splashing water on your face, etc. And there's plenty of aid stations. The aid stations are around every kind of kilometer and a half, so there's loads of them. Um, any other tips that you give your guys in terms of for the run? What do you advise them pacing wise, or any other advice?
Especially for those who are novice or doesn't have a lot of experience, don't try to catch the pain. It will eventually catch you.
I like it. No, agreed, agreed. And if you're working with a great coach like yourself, you'll have a pacing strategy worked out, and it's good to have that in the bag beforehand. As I said, people they get very excited and they've done the bike, and they see their friend in front of them. They try to chase them, or they try to chase someone they think is in their age group, and they end up racing the wrong race. And whilst you might have a great 5K, you'll end up having a very painful walk run for the rest of the 15. Okay, cool. Right. In terms of getting the job done, swim, T1, bike, T2, and run, you have 7.5 hours to get it done. And you will end up looking like this guy, like an absolute champ, winning it. What's the finish line like? Is there good energy? Is it a well supported race?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's the last part of the race is a bit tricky because it has a couple of turns before the finish line. But when you finish, they have a really good uh, aid station, let's say, area, so you can enjoy the atmosphere.
Great. And also, that's another thing with it being a 4x5K loop. It means there's plenty of places if you're there with your family and your friends for them to see you on the run. So and again, that's really motivating when you see your support crew cheering you. So this looks like a spectator friendly course, which is great. Okay, cool. Righty ho. So just some other things to bear in mind. We've talked a bit about race day nutrition and hydration, as in there's a video in the comments below. There's some other video content below that will help you as well. If you're going to be traveling to Challenge Salou from whatever in Europe or in Spain, again, there's a packing list about how to pack a bike, how to pack what, and a handy checklist. And there's also a video on how to taper. This is when Coach Javier earns his money because when his athletes are suddenly not doing all the training and they're suddenly calling him and WhatsApping him and sort of sending emails, I think I'm losing fitness. That's when a really good coach like Javier in your corner is so useful because they'll know this is part of your taper madness. They will talk you back from the cliff. Just tell you, calm down. This is all part of the process. It is okay if we only run 10K 2 weeks out from the race and we have done all the training. The other a video useful as well is about 10 top tips to do in the last couple of weeks when you're have all this time in your hand because you're tapering. You kind of can get nervous, but that's the right time to watch this video again, read the athlete briefing, and plan your logistics, make sure your bike's getting serviced. Simple things that if you do in advance, you will minimize the stress on the day, which is crucial for having a great race day experience. So all those videos are in the comments below. We'll talk a little bit about the race day timetable and get Coach Javier's advice on this. Um, the Friday registration, again, these are I took these from last year's race brief, so make sure you check these as well. But you can register on Friday between 7 and 8. There's the swim course check. You can swim on the Saturday, which will be kind of organized with the challenge guys. Um, and then you can also register between 10 and 8 on that. There's going to be race day briefings. They tend to do them online with challenge, and it'll be English and Spanish, which is great. And then, as Coach Javier pointed out, you do need to check your bike in between 6 and 8 on the Saturday, and race morning transition opens at 5:30. Do you have any advice for people in terms of how early they should get to transition? Is it easy to get to transition, or any kind of last minute tips for people watching it are a little bit nervous?
It's easy to arrive to transition area, so you have to arrive with some time, but it's not the one that is really crowded or is really far that you have to go really really early on the morning. That make sure you have plenty of time because you never know, but don't stress yourself.
Cool, excellent. And what's the top tip you will give your athletes when they're a little bit nervous for their first time in transition? Is there anything that you sort of tell them to work on or anything that they should prepare beforehand?
It's just try to visualize the part by part, little by little, how the race are going to develop. Just think about the swimming leg, the transition, the bike. Is take it by bits instead of thinking about the whole because it can be overwhelming, especially if you are a newbie. And just that the job is done. It's time to enjoy
Oh,
the
absolutely.
results
And
of the
again, I
process.
tell my guys, the racing is the reward for the hard work. If you followed a plan or been followed a great coaching like yourself, you will have done a lot of work. So you're prepared. And that's a great tip about take it one step at a time, as in you can only influence what you're doing at the time. And I know athletes who've had a bad swim, and just because they think they've had a bad swim because the current was stronger, but it was a slower swim for everyone, and they're 30 minutes into the bike and they're still wondering about the swim. The swim is done at that stage. All you can influence then is the bike, and you focus on your numbers, your strategy, your nutrition, and then when you're done the bike, you park that, and then you look at the run because you can only influence and improve things by um being in the zone, being present at that point. Cool. Now they are great tips. And as we discussed, it will be a wave start for the broken up by male under 40s, male 40 to 49, male 50 plus. That's where I am now. I'm old. And then females. Um, but any last minute tips or advice for someone to make sure they have a great race day, Javier?
It's just as we have mentioned that enjoy is like you have been training for 4, 5, 6 months, maybe 1 year till arrive to for the goal day, and just have to put what you have on your body and on your mind on the bike, on the swimming and on the running, because it's like on race day, you only have to put what you have accumulated on the last month.
Absolutely. You can only was it influence what each swim stroke, each pedal stroke, each run once you're there, but you'll have done the work in advance. So as you can tell, Javier is an absolute very, very knowledgeable coach, very, very good guy. If you're looking for a coach, if you're looking for a plan, make sure you reach out to him or even just any questions. He's very generous with his time. As he said, he's given up this time here to help me do this video and help you prepare for Challenge Salou. There are his details on the screen now. They'll also be in the comments. Make sure you check it out. And all then is left for me to do is say muchas gracias, amigo. Con mucho gusto para hablar contigo sobre la carrera. I think that's right.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely.
I, very generous as usual. I don't know if it's perfect, but I like to. I'm brushing up on my Spanish. But again, for everyone else, this is just saying on behalf of myself, on behalf of all the viewers, thank you ever so much for Javier for giving up his time and his knowledge. And I hope you guys have a great race. And I hope you guys touch base with him if you're looking for a coach, and to make sure you get a PB at this race or other races in Spain or in Europe. So I think we'll just say, well, I say adios to the crowd now.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thanks again, Javier. We will talk soon.
Thank you to you.